Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? You ever feel like you're programming yourself with lines from books or quotes from movies that you find yourself repeating in your head when certain things happen? I think a lot about when things go wrong at work and how utterly, maliciously indifferent my supervisors are. I always tell my wife, it's like nobody gives a damn about anything. Like they're just monstrously apathetic. Like I can report all kinds of performance issues with the warehouse and send pictures of stuff. Like I never even get any responses. It's such a departure from the last branch that I was at. It blows my mind. And whenever like I have a really bad day and too many things go wrong, I just hear that quote from Bane in my head where he says, "No one cared who I was until I put on the mask." And it's just like there's this temptation to completely accelerate my villain arc. But I don't know where that's going to end up, and it's probably not anywhere good. And I need the job, unfortunately, because I have a lot of crappy bills to pay. Very on topic right there. I think a lot about the King Raven trilogy by Stephen Lawhead. I reviewed it in 2021. It is the most historically plausible version of the Robin Hood story. And in fact, after that one was written, there's really not a need to read anything similar. Um, Part of the motivation of Bran to go, like, eventually do what would put the Merry Men together and start fighting against the Norman Marchogi and stuff, the incentive is that, like, his people get dominated and enslaved, and he can purchase their freedom for 600, I can't remember the denomination, like 600 crowns, 600 coins, 600 whatever. And so he and his buddies go out and they labor extensively to get this very, very high sum of money. And it takes them, I don't know, like a year or so. It's been a while since I read it, so I need to go back and read it again. But they get the money and they go back to pay the, in my head, he's a tax collector. He's like an IRS guy. And he's like, "Oh, no, that was the sum last year. You've only gotten the 600 now. Where's the rest?" He's like, "No, it says 600. He goes, "Yeah, well, it was 600 then. Now it's 2,000. And instead of like redoubling his efforts and going out and earning more money again, like Bran just kills the guy. And his friends are like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And he goes, "It was supposed to be 600. It shouldn't have been anything at all." Then he says 2,000. If we go get the 2,000 and we come back and he says 10,000, it's never going to stop. And that ends up like leading a revolution, or sparking the revolution. I think about the whole no taxation without representation thing and how we pay just an ungodly amount of taxes, of mandatory theft to our government in a country with a history, and unfortunately less and less of a tradition, of rebelling against any kind of taxation at all, let alone a punitively excessive form thereof. We have more than just the taxes that we are robbed of. Inflation is the silent tax that just hoses everybody. But there's more going on than just that, and yet like we sit there and let it nibble at us and nibble at us and nibble at us. And one of the unspoken taxes comes in the form of three-letter agency regulations. And that is what's needling me today, because I recently told you I took that tire off of my wife's van, and I was relieved to note that the screw that caused the flat was near the edge of the tread, but it wasn't on the shoulder and it wasn't in the sidewall, so it could be repaired. I know this from experience because my first job in high school, whatever, second job, real job, whatever, was busting tires at Discount Tire. And I must have fixed a flat 100 times that had a puncture in that exact spot. It was completely fine. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, send it in and we'll have the guy fix it in the morning. It won't be a problem." My wife calls me this morning and she says, "The man says that it's too close to the shoulder and we have to buy a new tire. It's $130. I'm like, "Of course we do. Of course he would say that." I had him put me on the phone with the guys. "What the hell's going on? That thing is not on the shoulder. It's not anywhere near the sidewall." And he's like, "No, that's what the DOT says, so I got to comply with it." I said, "When did this change?" And he's like, "Oh, 15, 20 years ago." So there it is. All I got to do is slightly change the regulation and claim that it's for safety. It's completely fine. It was in the tread. You pop that tire open and you look inside, it's nowhere near the curve of the shoulder. But they can change that regulation and all of a sudden, I don't know, 25% of all punctures that come in are no longer repairable, and that means a 25% forced increase in the sale of new tires, whether you can afford one or not for your vehicle. And then they say, well, it's only one tire, so really you should buy two to have two brand new ones on the front axle of your vehicle. Maybe you should go... Sorry, I had to delete that segment. I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube overlords. Anyway, my point is, government produces nothing except for problems and burdens on the working man. And often when things like this rear their ugly, multifaceted head, I think of Bran, looking at that 600-pound fee, which was more than it ever should have been. It should have been zero. And then seeing the change, and then knowing what the next change would be, and saying, I'm done, I choose not to participate. This crosses my mind from time to time. Right now, I'm just a number in a database. No one cared who I was till I put on the mask. On paper, I think I have always made a better villain in Minecraft. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today. Go ahead and read Hood by Stephen Lawhead, because it's really freaking good. Technically, I should be at the gym right now, but I'm too angry to work out. I have to go home and get on the phone with Amazon and have them fix one of my books, because for whatever freaking stupid reason, they decided that the file that the book is operated on for printing for the last 8 years is no longer good and the text isn't legible, even though I've got 4 other books with the same font and type size. Sorry, nobody gives a damn about this. I'm going to let you go. Drive safe. See you out there.